Hello, I'm Mac, at least for a day, and everything is going to be okay. I'm going to show you my newest text adventure today, A Garden for My Wife. I did a small series on how to make a text adventure when I first started this game, so that's on my channel. If you play Dreams and you're interested in making text adventures the way I do, that is on my channel. You just search for NMS How to Make a Text Adventure, and the playlist or the videos for it will pop up on my channel. But anyway, this is another text adventure that I've made. It's 25% complete, but I made it quickly because I wanted to enter it into the Welcome Garden Community Jam, which is almost over, or the submissions have almost closed. But anyway, let's go ahead and play it. A Garden for My Wife. A text adventure. You married your high school sweetheart and moved into the house she inherited from her grandfather. Soon after she became pregnant with your first child, you were called off to the war. While you were on the front lines, you received a letter stating that your wife had a miscarriage. After you returned, you and your wife were unable to have any children. You got a job as a pharmacist, commuting to work in the nearby town and returning each evening to your house in the secluded valley where you and your wife lived. Every year, your wife grew a garden of flowers, which brightened your lonely household considerably. But the years got away from you, and soon after you had retired from the pharmacy, your wife grew gravely ill. When I'm gone, she said weakly, please promise you'll grow a garden for me. But I don't know the first thing about gardening, you said. There's a book in the attic that will teach you everything you need to know, she said. Now please promise you will. All right, I promise. Your wife passed away soon after that, and you buried her in the small grave site in the valley. You've been moping in bed for several days since your wife passed away, only getting up to eat and go to the outhouse. You need to get out of this funk and start that garden you promised to make in her memory. Alright, so we can look at reading area. This is where you and your wife used to read together, but you don't feel like reading, except maybe that gardening book she said was in the attic. You get fireplace. You use this fireplace to help keep the house warm in the fall and winter, but it is spring, so you don't need to light it. Look at attic entrance. This is the entrance to the attic, where you need to find the book on gardening your wife mentioned, but you will need something long to reach the latch holding the ladder in place. So we don't have the item for that yet. All right, go to dining room. Look at couch. You and your wife used to look out the window and talk here. You never got a TV. You're too old-fashioned for that. Okay, look at dining table. This is the dining table. There's still a place for your wife, and probably always will be. We can take a plate, so I'll go ahead and do that. Alright, let's go to the sink. This is where you wash your plate after eating. If you cared about eating off clean dishes right now. Alright, let's go ahead and go to the door. This door leads to the front porch. Go outside. You want to go find something that can open the attic entrance, but you haven't eaten since yesterday morning, and you will collapse if you don't eat some breakfast. Okay, and we'll go to the fridge. This old refrigerator is getting really run down, but it still keeps the food cold. So we'll take eggs. You take 2 eggs out of the refrigerator. Go to the stove. This is where you make your breakfast. Use item. Okay. Cracked egg 1. And egg 2. Okay, now we can use the plate to pick them up. You put the 2 fried eggs on the plate. Alright, we'll go back and look at the table and use the plate with eggs. You place the plate of eggs on the table so you can eat. Oop, and then we can eat. You eat your breakfast in silence. Now that you aren't starving anymore, you should go find something outside to help you open the attic. Alright, go to the door, go outside. You open the door and head outside. You should go get a tool from the shed next to the house to open the attic. Alright, look at outhouse. This is the outhouse where you do your business, but you don't need to go right now. Go to shed. Alright, let's look at the crate. Your wife kept most of her gardening tools and seeds in this crate. You'll check it out later. Okay, look at watering can. It's a watering can. You may not have a green thumb like your wife did, but you know what it is for. You don't need it right now. Alright, take shovel. You take the shovel with you. Alright, now we can go back inside. And we will go back to the bedroom and look at attic entrance. Use item and use the shovel. Alright, so we're going up into the attic. There isn't much in the attic, just a few boxes. You and your wife weren't in the habit of keeping much junk lying around, especially since you never had any children. Alright, look in the box. You see 2 books in an opened box. One book is titled The Joy of Gardening, the other entitled The Garden of Flesh. Examine The Joy of Gardening. The Joy of Gardening is a simple book on how to grow flowers or vegetables in one's personal garden. If we try to take The Joy of Gardening, it will say, perhaps you should examine the other book first. So we'll go back. The Garden of Flesh appears to be a book on necromancy. You've heard rumors of necromancy, dark magic practiced by crazy cultists who try to resurrect the dead or gain unnatural immortality. Alright, so I make it look like this is a choice at this point in the game. Right now, you'll see. Take the Garden of Flesh. This book may have garden in the name, but there's no way your wife wanted you to use a book about foul and evil magic. You're not touching this book. So it makes it look like it's a choice, but you can only choose to get The Joy of Gardening right now. The Joy of Gardening is a simple book on how to grow, So we'll take that. You take The Joy of Gardening with you. This has to be the book your wife wanted you to use to grow a garden in her memory. All this excitement has worn you out. You decide to go back to bed. You'll start the garden tomorrow when you have more strength. She's dead. I will never see her again. She's gone, and she's never coming back. But there is a way you could see her again. There is a way you could be with her once more. You had another dream about your wife last night. They say it gets easier over time, but your grief just seems to be getting worse. After eating breakfast, you decide to read The Joy of Gardening and start on the project. Maybe that will cheer you up. Okay, I'm going to look around a little bit first. We go back to the bedroom. We can look at the attic entrance, and as you can see, the shovel is still over there in the corner. I just left it there. You have no reason to go back into the attic, but you broke the board that was holding the ladder in place. So you're just going to leave it down for now. Alright, we can look at our bed. Your bed is a constant reminder of your wife. It still smells like her, daffodils and lilac. We try to go to bed. It says, no, you're not going back to bed again until you've accomplished something, or you're going to go crazy. Alright, go back to the dining room. Let's look at the sink real quick. If you turn on the sink, it says, you hear the voice of your wife echoing in your mind. Don't waste the well water, dear, and turn it off. Alright, we go back. And of course we don't have the item that we can use here yet. Okay, now we'll read The Joy of Gardening. You read the chapter that details how to plant a flower garden. First you need a small spade and flower seeds. You should be able to find those in the crate in the tool shed. Next you need to get fertilizer for the soil. You can probably use some from the outhouse. After you plant the seeds in the fertilized soil, you just need to water them. You saw the watering can in the tool shed too. Alright, now we have the option to go outside. Alright, so we can go to the garden. Your wife would always plant a row of flowers in front of the porch. You plan to do that too. We try to plant in the garden. It says you don't have everything you need yet. You need a spade, flower seeds, fertilizer, and a water can with water in it. So we're going to go back. Okay, we're going to go to the outhouse. What will you do? Can't do anything here yet. So go to the shed. Alright, go ahead and take the watering can. You take the empty watering can with you. Look at the crate. Search the crate. You find a small spade, a packet of flower seeds, and an old potato sack. Okay, take the spade, take the sack, and take the seeds. I made the spade and the seeds myself. There was no small spade. There's lots of shovels, but there was no small spade shaped like that. And I also made the packet of flower seeds just for this little scene right here. Because there was no packet of flower seeds, surprisingly, even though we're doing a gardening jam right now. Nobody's made packets of flower seeds, or any seeds for that matter. So anyway, now we can leave. Alright, now we'll go to the outhouse. Use item, use the spade and sack. You were going to collect fertilizer, but you suddenly realize that you need to make fertilizer right now. Do that. After relieving yourself, you collect the fresh fertilizer with the spade and put it in the sack. Alright, now, there's still one more thing we need. You need to go to the sink and use the empty watering can. You put the empty watering can in the sink, then turn on sink. You turn on the water and fill the watering can. Okay, then we can take the filled watering can. You turn off the water and take the filled watering can with you. Alright, we'll go outside. Okay, now we can go to the garden and plant the garden. You have everything you need. You will plant 10 flowers. That should be enough. You can fertilize this spot for planting. Use spade and fertilizer. You fertilize the soil. Now you can plant a seed here. Use flower seed packet. You plant a flower seed. Now you should water it. Use filled watering can. This spot is done. You should go to the next one. Okay, so we do that for each one. We keep doing this 10 times. This game was originally an idea for a gardening simulator or farming simulator that I had, but it just didn't sound interesting enough to me, so I decided to make it into a narrative text adventure. So this whole thing that I'm doing right now was my original basic idea of just having a game where you make a garden, but like I said, this isn't super engaging, and it would have been harder to make it a more engaging system, so, you know, I think it works better as a narrative. Planting the seeds did give you a strange sense of satisfaction. You hope they will grow. You are plenty tired now and should go rest in bed. Right, go back inside. Alright. So now we just go back to the bedroom and go to bed. Feeling exhausted but glad that you got something done, you slide into bed to rest. Maureen, why did you have to die? You were only 61. You could have lived so much longer. Death doesn't have to be forever. You can bring her back. The power is within your reach. It has been several days since you planted the flower garden. Memories of your wife have haunted your dreams every single night. And now you are starting to see that book from the attic in your dreams too. You seem to subconsciously believe it would help you bring your wife back to life, but that's nonsense. Although the flowers still haven't sprouted yet, watering them every day is the only thing that gives you any sense of purpose in your life now. Someone is knocking at the door. People rarely visit this valley anymore. Who could it possibly be? Hey man, deer season is almost here, so I'm back. Oh no, it's this idiot again, you think? He was here last year shooting at everything that moves. You think his name was Jeff. What will you say? What do you want? Why, I want a bag of 6-point buck, maybe 2. No, I mean, why are you on my property? Oh, just wanted to remind you to wear bright colors so I don't shoot at you. You have several different choices. They all lead to the same thing. Great, now leave. You better not leave a mess again or shoot anywhere near my house and I'm calling the cops. I'm going to say you better not leave a mess again. Of course, I'll pick up all my cans and cigs when I leave this time. If you have any complaints, come see me at my cabin. Shut the door. Now that that lowlife is gone, you hope to get back to watering the flower garden. Alright, pick up watering can. Go to the sink. Use item, watering can. Turn on the sink. And take the filled watering can. Alright, now we can go outside. Actually, no, there's not really much of anything else different in the house. It's all the same stuff. Check on the flower garden. Oh, wait, I wanted to read that. Some of the flowers have finally sprouted. You're excited to go see how they are doing. This flower seed has begun to sprout. Use item, filled watering can. You sprinkle water on the spot. Then we do that for each one. And I made it so that you can move back and forth between each spot. The first time where you planted all of them was linear. You could only do it the same way each time, but now you can water them any order you want. Not that it really matters. But use the item, filled watering can. This flower seed hasn't sprouted yet, so I made a couple of them not sprouted yet to make it more realistic. Wouldn't make sense if they all sprouted on the same night. But supposedly several days have gone by, so this isn't the day after you planted it. It's a few days later. Alright, that's it. There, you've watered all the flowers. Now you can go back inside and get some rest. Alright, go to the bedroom. Okay, now we can go to bed again. It's the same description for look at attic entrance. You've no reason to go back to the attic, but you broke the board holding it in place, so you're just going to leave it down for now. So now we look at the bed and go to bed. You are glad to have gotten the watering done, but feel less satisfaction from it with each passing day, even though the flowers finally sprouted. You are my one and only, Maureen, my one true love. Without you, I will be alone for the rest of my life. No one is ever truly gone, you just can't see them anymore. Use my knowledge and you will never have to be lonely again. You've been laying in bed all morning, trying to make yourself get up, but the depression is like a crushing weight on your chest. You still need to go water the flowers, but you just don't care anymore. You hear a knock at the door. If it's that trailer trash again, you're going to give him a piece of your mind. You've been hearing gunshots most nights. Hello, I'm new here. I wanted to introduce myself to everyone. Who are you? My name is Zua. I'm a botanist, and I purchased the little shack over there so I can study the plants here in the valley and store specimens. Why are you... I was also wondering if you've seen any Sericium spinosumum here. I don't know what that... You know, thistles. Also, do you get many weevils out here? I don't think... And is there much runoff from the surrounding mountains? Does it flood often? And you can yell, leave me alone, go away, or get off my property. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I'll leave. Slam the door in her face. You don't know why you got so angry and immediately regret it. She seemed like a nice young lady. At least it got you out of bed so you can water the flowers now. Right, pick up watering can. Go to sink, use item, empty watering can, turn on the sink. This part is a little repetitive because you do the same thing several days, but that's intentional because it kind of shows that you're just doing the same routine day in and day out, and it's not fulfilling anymore. Some of the flowers are close to blooming. This doesn't really excite you much. Check the flower garden, use item, filled watering can. Same thing as before. So now we've got little flowers with buds on them for the most part. And some of them are behind the others still. This flower seed has begun to sprout. Alright. This activity no longer brings you any pleasure, and the depression just comes rushing back. Nothing matters anymore. Right, so we'll go back to the bedroom. Your bed is a constant reminder of your wife. It still smells like her, daffodils and lilac. The best you can do is crawl back into bed and hope you feel better tomorrow. Why is that book in the attic? Surely Maureen knew about it. It was in the same box as the other one. Your wife wanted you to find me. She wanted you to grow her a garden of flesh and bring her back to life. You awaken with a start and find yourself laying at the bottom of the ladder to the attic. You must have walked in your sleep. You can't stand it any longer. You have to do something about that book or you will go mad. Alright, so we can climb up into the attic. What will you do? Look in box. There it is, the infernal book. You've got to either read it or destroy it, or you will never be free of this torment. Take the Garden of Flesh. You take the Garden of Flesh with you. Alright, leave the attic. Okay, so first we'll try doing this path. What will you do? Use item, Garden of Flesh. You place the Garden of Flesh on the table. What will you do? You can choose to you can also pick it back up. If you change your mind, you can pick it back up, but then you got to put it back down again. So you can read the Garden of Flesh. You don't believe this book could bring your wife back to life, but if it doesn't have any power, then there's no harm in taking a look at it. This decision will change the course of your life. Are you sure this is what you want to do? I'm going to say yes. This path is not yet available, but it will be soon. So, yeah, this is the ending that can't continue yet, but we have another ending that we can get currently. Well, that one isn't an ending. That's a continuation of the storyline. But this next thing we're going to do is a way to get one of the possible endings of the game. So we'll take the Garden of Flesh again. And we'll leave the attic. And we can go to the fireplace. I didn't do that yet. This is your fireplace. You could burn the book here once it's lit. And we could try to use the Garden of Flesh, but it says you could burn the book here, but the fire needs to be lit. So we will go to the dining room and instead go to the cupboard. This is the cupboard where you keep various odds and ends. There should be some lighter fluid and matches in here. You rifle through the cupboard, finding the lighter fluid and matches. Okay, take lighter fluid, take the matches, and back out. Alright, go back to the bedroom, go to the fireplace, use lighter fluid and matches. You douse the wood with lighter fluid and light it with a match. The fire is now lit. Okay, now use the Garden of Flesh. If you burn the Garden of Flesh, it might free you from constantly wondering if you could bring your wife back to life with it. This decision will change the course of your life. Are you sure this is what you want to do? So we'll say yes. You burn the Garden of Flesh. You burn the Garden of Flesh, symbolically accepting the death of your wife. You feel like a weight has been lifted from your shoulders. The flowers in your garden soon bloom, which brings you great joy. Though you always feel sad when you think about your wife, you are finally able to move on and enjoy living again. Each year you grow a flower garden. Though they are not human, tending to these little lives gives you a sense of companionship. Your wife must have felt the same way when she grew a garden to cope with her childlessness. You realize your wife didn't want you to grow the garden for her. She wanted you to grow it for you, to help you deal with her loss. You live many more years in peace and contentment before finally rejoining your wife in the afterlife. Ending. The joy of gardening. So this is the first of what will be many possible endings of this story. The way I'm making this is I'm not going to have good and bad endings, quote unquote good and bad endings. There's just going to be different possible endings. I want all of the endings to be somewhat satisfying, even if it'll be people's personal opinion whether this is a good ending or a bad ending or each ending. I mean, it's good some games where, most of the endings are bad and you have to work hard to get the good ending, but I think it's also cool when games just have lots of different possible endings that can be good or bad. And there's not going to be any true ending. So this is one of the endings. It's not necessarily the true ending or anything like that. It's just one of the many endings that it will have. If that makes sense. Congratulations on getting an ending. Please check out my YouTube channel, Mac4Day, where I make videos about dreams. I wonder though, what would have happened if you had made different decisions? So, all of my possible endings will have this part where it's gives you the choice to restart the chapter and make a different choice, restart the dream, or end. I'm just going to end right now, because right now there is no other paths we can take, because they haven't made that much yet. But anyway, that is my new text adventure, the first part of it, and I'm submitting this version of it to the Welcome Garden Community Jam, so that I have a submission for that. I think it'll be pretty good for the Community Jam. But anyway, I will continue to update this game and add more to the story. I'm about 25% complete, like it says. So anyway, I've been Mac. Thank you for joining me for a day. And remember, everything is going to be okay.